This FM 104.3. Good to meet Atik.
Now, Bibia Eti said Lithium. If you are going to have a mining lease agreement, you need to make sure that that agreement flows from a solid legal background. Until you can negotiate 13%, is that 13% you can say royalty is not protected by any law. It's not protected by any law.
Are you sure?
Yes. And make sure, Chairman, what that implies is that there could be future agreements that you can say royalty rate will not be 13% because it is on the discretion of the minister. Our argument is say if granted cross Ghana for to say 13% na pay. Even though I believe that this should have been a function of wider consultations, but granted cross Ghana for to say 13% royalty rate na pay. You need to found it in law, and now you need to protect it with a law. And sir, amendment now here 2015 no. You who say just leaving it saying say the minister has the power to determine the royalty rate, is discretionary and could be arbitrary. And in section 110 subsection U, it goes further to say the minister, however, betimaya regulations through an ally to prescribe specific royalty rate. And it's open 10% to 15% to whatever rate. The Minerals and Mining Act as amended, but you can only do so when you introduce an ally to make a regulation. And the answer now by signing an agreement such as this, you ought to have introduced our ally, stating that when it comes to lithium, and the reason I took the trouble to explain the importance of lithium and the fact that future is because BB say you need to make sure say ally who they are badada. So that when it comes to lithium, specifically when it comes to lithium, the royalty rate any investor coming and himself saying it here, but say idea is on the discretion of the minister. If future agreements among for and Jantum say we are going to accept 13 now, you might end up having different royalty rates for different lease agreements. But if you brought that ally, make the regulation, I actually say 13% royalty rate is what we need there. And when any investor be obey investment in lithium, any data, until they are not going to negotiate for different royalty rates, knowing very well that is one. Until I say, sir, people who are pray without doing the relevant, bringing the relevant ally to make sure that the royalty rate is specified and stated in black and white. The other one is government's free carried interest. Royalty rate is 10%. Into free carried interest, 13%. No, it's from Fancham. Carried interest, Section 43(1) states specifically that government would acquire 10% free carried interest. Just equity interest, but it goes further to say, so who pay more interest there, you can negotiate. Until once the parties agree to some increase in there, you can do that. But the subsection 2 can't say it is going to be free. Now, government has gone, the minister says through his negotiation skills, or see, we are negotiating for 13%. Chairman, you see, we cannot be relying on the negotiation skills of a minister to determine how much carried interest we should have in lithium. ADI is the future. It's going to replace oil. Until we can't be relying on his negotiation skills. There ought to be a law, when it comes to lithium, are buying carried interest any. And Usha, you can say, Mrano, like I said, subsection 2 allows you to negotiate more. ADI are the only carried interest recognized by law, 10%. Until 3 now, it is subject to negotiations. Now, Fanny say another mining entity comes, and one demand negotiating for 3 additional percent free of charge, because Mrana Anka said the additional acquisition of interest, equity interest, is going to be free. Until if another entity comes and says, it means that you are going to have different carried interest in different mining agreements. What stopped you from amending the law, if at all you don't want to come up with a new framework, amending the law to say that when it comes to lithium, government's carried interest is going to be 13%. Chairman, coincidentally, Unim said the entirety of the Francophone countries are more minerals. Almost 10% royal, you can say carried interest on Kwan or more. Every francophone country, 10%.
And I do 13 on this one.
One was a lithium. A lot of them, you know, France and T or more, BBB. But you do 13%. It's not protected by law. And there's no guarantee that all mining lease agreements are going to be 13%. That's the argument we are making. Because Obiba, where it is based on, I like to call it the negotiation, you know, of the minister. And what if other mining companies, like I said, look, for you to get the 3%, they say, you're free. Because Mrano, Anka said the extra 3% and you're free. It is only 10% that the law says you can acquire free of charge. Until if we want 13% equity, the resource is ours. What stops us from amending the law to say, instead of 10%, when it comes to lithium, it should be 13%?
Near Kenya, Cyberco Parliament. And
Chairman, me bedroom. But there is even a more worrying issue. Chairman, me kita mean me. Until these are issues are nanka ese year 2 year before even thinking of a mining lease. Yeah, pre and one Chile, which is the second largest producer of lithium. There were just 2 companies mining lithium. And then as those 2 companies mining lithium, they had pre-79 concessions. Chairman himself from 1979 onward, lithium is no longer concessionable in Chile. Because they realized that it had nuclear potential as far back as 79. And Tomuka said, wow, wouldn't need concession to mine lithium before 79? No, yeah, more lease BRBM. And the SQM and Alba Melunkwan lease mining leases for lithium in Chile. And to Omukra now, producing more lithium, no, because we share the deposits of lithium in Chile. I understand is the highest in the world. Omukra pre to get more people to come and mine lithium, no, because they know what it means. What is here? And say drew Chile levels, no, yeah, pre and wako, and especially given the fact that enuna eba replace oil in the future now. I said 2 years, come up with something that is more workable and sustainable.
This FM 104.3, good to meet